Sir?
What are they going to do with those 2 auditoriums we've got thrown away?
Municipal Auditorium in Kemper?
Ma'am?
Municipal Auditorium in
And
Kemper?
Kemper.
Municipal Auditorium is actually in pretty good shape and has events scheduled there. Kemper, on the other hand, is not in as good a shape. I mean, it was sold, I believe that, you know, the dirt events would be at Kemper and everything else would be at Sprint, and there was room in Kansas City for both facilities. I think we're finding that that is not the truth. The council and staff are looking for alternatives. We do have, through a 45, might have been a 50-year agreement to start with, but I know, because I'm reminded often, we have a 45-year agreement with the American Royal to allow them use of Kemper. So that's something that's going to have to be considered. No, the long-range planning would keep us, I hope, from making some of those decisions that.
Why couldn't they move them into that new, American Royal move into the new auditorium? Because I'll guarantee you there will never be a basketball team or a hockey team in that stadium.
In the new one?
Yeah. Because they've already had both and they went by the wayside.
Share your concerns, and we are working on a good reuse of Kemper. Kemper's right now costing us about $3 million a year. With about $1.6 million or $8 million of that is debt from the last improvements to Kemper. The rest of it's the cost to keep it open and lose money every day.
I like it there. It's a real pretty stadium, but.
Well, we're faced with what we have today, and that's what we have to adjust to. So no, I share your concerns. Sir?
Yes, well, I appreciate my neighbor here to the left, her comment about the Priorities magazine, but, you know, I would also like to say this is exactly the type of thing that the city does need to do. Because when people and business and commerce are looking at Kansas City, place to bring their families to, their businesses to. And these are the types of things that those folks need to have at their fingertips. You know, I know personally 5 families that moved to Kansas City, where I work at, you know, because they were able to get literature and material from their business, which they got from the city to distribute to their employees for this type of thing. So it's not always a bad thing.
Well, I think it's fine to have it for promotion to, you know, for whatever body meets with potential businesses that are moving in and so forth. But to have it wholesale like this at community meetings, I don't know how many tens of pounds of those other brochures that I saw all over, you know, for at least 2 years, I think was what my memory doesn't serve.
So your concern is it just should be more selective?
Yeah, they've got it all over the place.
Deb, mine's threefold. First of all, when they did the earnings tax, it was for the trash. I am totally against any additional dollar amounts being charged to the area residents for the upcoming trash for the new fiscal year. Number 2, the city owns lots of ground that they'll never ever use. Let's sell it and put the money into the coffers so that way it helps with the city. Number 3, check Eddie going to the being hired by the city is a total no-no. We're against it. He was our city council person out here. He didn't do a darn thing for us then. I don't think he's going to do anything down there now except draw some money from the city. Thank you.
First of all, I would hope that if you hear me or any council person or any elected official coming to you saying, do this and we promise forever, please tell them to go sit down. I have great respect for Ilis Davis. But to say that forevermore, all that being said, our budget is a zero-sum game. And my colleague Councilman Sharp can tell you that what citizens have to say and what they think is very important to us. So it really is, in many cases, up to you. We have, I mean, some people think we're not like the federal government. If we can't print more money when we run out. We're We're required by state law to have a balanced budget. And if you tell us, the rest of the citizens say you keep that trash in there, the zero-sum game is something else needs to go. And at this point in the game with a $75 million problem, or $85 million problem, and starting with $175 million to start with. As far as, and I'm gonna be kind of a little sarcastic maybe right now, if I thought $140,000 a year would make our city manager's office functional, I'm all for it. I would only say that the neighborhood meetings that I'm going to is, I think it's something that should have been, no matter who the person was. I don't know how you hire someone at that level and 2 days later put out that you're gonna lay off 350 people. That is certainly,
Especially police officers.
well, and I started today finding out that 2 departments, the worst departments in the city to be over budget, are the city manager's office and finance department. Yes, Terrence?
I'm looking at page 3, and I referenced back to you discussing that you had $490 million to spend. So citizens to understand this more or less would be like where we see on page 3 we've got $1.3 million, and I understand that you got public enterprise and all these other things in there. So shouldn't you make it relevant to the $490 million you've got to spend, where the revenue comes from the $490 million that you have to spend, instead of mixing revenue from public enterprises in here and other things? I mean, for your spending, and then when you go to where it's spent, you got the 1.3 million there. Well, that's got public enterprises, salaries, and benefits probably in there also on page number 4.
What this document does, and we can put together a document that puts it any way you'd like it.
Well,
What I asked our city budget officer to do is start with the whole pie.
right, but you're saying that we've got $490 million basically from last year, is what you started to say, and then we're running a deficit of $85 million. So we're going to have to find $85 million out of the $490 million that we have, that you have discretionary budget on, don't you?
This year's budget, the year we're operating under now, which ends on April 30th. Last March, the budget that we voted on, there was $490 million in general fund
Okay. that
that was left for the council to allocate. Of that, 315 went to public safety. 175, and like I said, I'll get you more detail. I'd be the first.
Well, I got the whole budget at home. I mean, just for looking at this thing here, it's still very confusing.
I'll
when
get
you're
you the
saying you're showing a
information.
deficit.
I'd be the first to say I'm not the brains on this. I think I've got common sense. I'll be glad to get you the information any way you want it. Well, we ended at 315 for public safety, leaving 175 for this year. And the conversation we had at Finance and Audit is on that budget, we're running $11 million shortfall, which the council, not the council, but the Finance and Audit Committee told our senior staff this morning that no, find it. You're not going to come back to us for more money, as has been the practice in past years, and say, well, gosh, especially when 2 of those, the biggest problems, are 2 departments that should be managing these dollars.
How can you come to the citizens and have this conversation with us that we're being so mismanaged, and then we, like you say, the finance department and the city manager's department are the worst mismanaged departments? When are heads going to roll? I mean, that's basically what we need to be done.
She tried.
No, I'm not. I'm just saying that for, I know, but I mean, this is the problem is they had the $36 million bond issue we got, and they had a variable rate, and they were speculating risk and taking unnecessary risk, and now we're going to have to hit another $7 million because they're gambling on the bond markets. Who's getting fired in the finance department?